At 0214 local time, 4 Ukrainian strike drones lift off one after another into the dark, aimed at a Russian B-200 sitting far behind the lines. What the Ukrainian crew doesn't know yet is that a Russian fire team has had eyes on this tree line for days. The grid gets called up the chain, and the first mortar rounds are already walking onto the field. The launch crew folds the rail and bolts as dirt kicks up around them. 4 drones are already climbing. The hard part is only just starting. The formation settles onto the deck and turns southeast, hugging the terrain toward the coast, low enough to disappear into the black fields below, so close to the ground that the onboard camera catches furrows blurring past underneath. Along the route, a Russian fire team commander has been waiting in a tree line. He's run this corridor before. The drones always come through here slow, low, and predictable, and he has a rough idea of the timing. 2 hours earlier, he killed the engine on his truck at the point where the valley funnels them through and settled in. He's not alone either. 5 more trucks sit hidden along the same stretch, spaced a few kilometers apart, a full gauntlet of guns the whole formation has to fly through. Right now, 4 soft contacts cross his sight, and he likes his odds. The lead truck opens up. Tracers reach for the front drone, stitching across the camera frame just inches from the lens. The drone doesn't flinch. There's no pilot aboard to duck, and it has nothing to shoot back with either. That gun belongs to a mobile fire team, a pickup truck with a heavy machine gun or a shoulder-fired missile riding in the bed, parked on exactly the routes Russia knows these drones fly. A speed trap for drones, set up right where the traffic always comes through, and the FP2 makes an easy target. What just lifted off that launch rail was the Firepoint FP2, Ukraine's deep strike workhorse. 200 kilometers range, 105 kilograms warhead, cruising around 150 kilometers per hour, barely faster than highway traffic, roughly Chicago to Indianapolis on one tank. About $55,000 per airframe, cheap enough that Kiev sends 4 out expecting to lose 3, slow enough to track by eye this close to the front. A second truck picks up the formation and opens fire from the opposite side, then a third. The drones thread between the tracer streams, jinking as much as a slow airframe can manage. One round clips a tail fin off the trailing drone. It wobbles, dips toward the ground, then limps back onto course on a bent control surface. This corridor is now a shooting gallery. A 4th truck opens up from a ridge, and the formation is taking fire from 3 directions at once, the lead drone's camera flaring white every time a tracer streaks past the lens. For a few long seconds, it looks like simple math. 6 guns, 4 slow drones, no way through. Then the lead truck explodes. A fireball climbs off the tree line where the gun had been, and the tracers from that position simply stop. A second blast follows 3 seconds later, the truck working the far side of the formation gone in a flash of orange. Behind the ridge, a 3rd truck catches the next hit and comes apart. 3 gun trucks down in under 10 seconds. Turns out there's a type of drone that never shows up on any Russian radio scanner, and the fire team commanders are finding that out right now. The little drones that just did this are the escorts, arriving late on purpose. These are fiber optic FPVs, first-person view quadcopters, flying off a hair-thin glass cable spooling out behind them as they go. Nothing about them touches the radio spectrum. No jammer Russia owns can so much as nudge them. The commands ride down the glass, but that same cable is also the catch. Drag it through the debris cloud still hanging over the launch site, and the fiber snaps, and a snapped fiber drops the drone instantly. So the escorts couldn't cut straight through the launch zone behind the strikers. They had to swing wide around the falling shrapnel and then feed cable out to catch back up with the formation. That detour is exactly why the strikers spent that long stretch alone and unanswered under fire. That glass leash buys the one thing that matters over jammed territory, a control link nothing in the air can break, and it costs the one thing the FP2S could really use: range. The spool only carries so much fiber. About 20 kilometers from the front, the escorts run out of cable, peel off, and turn for home, which leaves a problem. From here forward, the only thing tying one pilot to 4 drones deep inside Russia is a satellite dish riding on an aircraft circling over the bay, a single link, and the Russians are already hunting for it. 40 miles back, over the middle of the bay, that link has an aircraft holding it up. A 5th drone flies slow circles in the dark. No warhead, just a Starlink dish bolted where the explosives sit on the other 4. All it can do is loiter and relay, unarmed, slow, with no way to defend itself. Stick commands go down to the strikers. Camera feeds come back up. If a Russian fighter finds it, or a SAM climbs up to meet it, all 4 strikers go blind in the same instant. The most important aircraft over the bay tonight is the one that can't hurt anybody. Deep over occupied ground, the 4 drones fly straight into a wall of electronic noise, the kind that usually turns drones into confetti scattered across a field. These 4 sail straight through it, no wobble, steady as anything, right on course. Watch how level the horizon stays on the cockpit feed while all that jamming rolls over them. Here's why none of them even flinch. These drones don't use GPS at all. Each one flies the whole route off its own internal map, counting every turn it makes. The same way you could navigate your own kitchen in a blackout because you've walked it 1,000 times. Russia floods this entire front with GPS jamming, the fastest and cheapest way to knock a drone down. Tonight, it just bounces off. Then something else starts going wrong. All 4 video feeds stutter at once, tearing, freezing, dropping to black for half a second. The pilot pushes the stick, and the drones respond a beat late, then start drifting north, sliding toward open water. In a room nowhere near the front, each pilot is juggling their drone with less concentration than a dad manning the grill while checking his phone and half listening to his wife's story about a coworker. Except the stakes here run a little higher. When the feeds tear, he's not looking at a glitch. He's watching 4 aircraft deep inside Russia start drifting off course at the same moment, and he has seconds to fix it before they're gone for good. Far behind the front, a Russian electronic warfare operator is doing something clever, and he's had weeks of practice getting good at it. He's watched these drones shrug off his jammers night after night, and by now, he knows the trick. A less experienced operator would keep hammering the satellite uplink and filing reports about a system that won't break. This one's sharper. The link up to the satellite is untouchable, the signal goes straight up, and no ground jammer shouts loud enough to reach it. So he stops swinging at the part he can't crack and goes hunting for the part he can. And he finds it. Look at the dish on that relay aircraft circling the bay, and you're looking at both the trick that makes this whole mission work and its one weakness. These drones fly over Starlink, the same American satellite network that beams Sunday night football into a living room in rural Iowa. 6,000 satellites overhead, everyone launched out of Florida or California, and everyone quietly supporting a combat mission over the Sea of Azov tonight. The dish points straight up at the satellites. No ground jammer on the coast shouts loud enough to reach a signal already headed for orbit. It's like trying to block a phone call by yelling at someone's house after the call has already gone up to a tower nowhere near you. So the operator stops yelling at the house and goes after the one link he actually can reach. The short radio hop from the relay aircraft down to the 4 drones, a plain, ordinary signal wide open to anyone with a jammer aimed the right way. That's what he's found, and that's what he's now flooding. If that hop stays jammed more than a few seconds, all 4 drones go deaf over Russia and drift until they run out of fuel. The feeds keep tearing while the formation slides out over the water, and the pilot has one move left: push them down toward the ground instead of away from it. He splits the formation, and the 2 halves take very different paths down. 2 drones drop into the valley of the Yeysk River, which spills straight into the bay near the base. The other 2 drop onto Taganrog Bay itself, skimming so low the camera catches spray flicking the lens, hugging the shoreline the whole way in. There's zero margin down here. Drop a meter and a wave takes the drone. Climb a meter and a gunner gets a clean shot. The pilot threads it by hand, flying a feed that lags half a second behind reality. Then the picture snaps back, sharp, clear, steady. The jammer has lost all 4 at once. That dive just bought them everything. A ground jammer can only flood what it has a straight line to, so the instant a drone drops into a river valley or below a stretch of coastline, the ridgelines and the curve of the earth swallow the signal hole. Like ducking below a fence, so the man with the flashlight can't find you with the beam. The inland jammer lost them down low, but the relay aircraft over the bay still had a clean line to all 4, so the link held. It worked exactly as intended, which is precisely what the Russians were counting on. Days earlier, that same jamming pattern had already told a Russian air defense officer something useful. He'd watched jammed drones on this stretch duck into the same river valley for cover, mission after mission, without exception. So he stopped treating the valley as their hiding spot and started treating it as their choke point. If these drones ever got jammed right here, they'd do exactly what they just did. So he put a man down there and told him to wait. On the valley floor, a single soldier has been lying in the cold beside a launch tube for close to 2 nights, watching one patch of sky. Nothing to give him away, no radio, no radar, nothing for an anti-radiation missile to chase. Just a man, a tube, and a thermos gone cold hours ago. The worst camping trip in Russia, and nobody even brought marshmallows. He hears the drones before he sees them. A faint lawnmower buzz echoing off the valley walls, then a low shape moving slow against the stars. One good shot before they're past him. He shoulders the tube. A streak of fire rips out of the tree line along the river and slams head-on into one of the valley drones. One flash, and it's gone. That was an Igla, what a single soldier carries when he wants to knock something low out of the sky using nothing but heat. A shoulder-fired missile, the SA-18 Grouse, up and gone from one man's shoulder in seconds. That's the weapon that just turned the low route into a trap. Radio means nothing to it. Radar means nothing to it either. It hunts pure heat. And an FP2 small engine running hot against the cold night air over the river lights up its seeker like a porch light pulling in every bug in the county. Tops out around Mach 1.7, effective out to 5.5 kilometers, roughly the walk from the White House to the Capitol and back. and the FP-2 has no answer for it. No flares, no decoys, nothing to throw the missile off the scent. One warhead finds the engine, and a quarter of the strike package scatters across a riverbed. The surviving Valley drone jinks hard through the riverbed and comes out the other side alone. 3 drones left now, no escort, the heaviest defensive ring still ahead, and still only 1 run left in them. The formation is broken for good now. 1 drone crawling out of the river alone, 2 more skimming the bay miles to the south, none of them able to see the others. The same path that slipped past the jammer is the same one that fed a drone straight to the man waiting in the grass, like picking the shortest checkout line and finding out it's short because the register is broken. 3 drones, no escorts, enough fuel for 1 pass and nothing else, and Russia's best short-range air defense has been wide awake on the far shore all night, aimed straight down the only corridor left. The 3 survivors converge over the water and turn in on the target, a Russian naval airfield at Yeysk, on the far side of the Sea of Azov. 3 drones line abreast, throttles set, the coastline finally hardening out of the dark ahead. The pilot has run the fuel math a dozen times, and it always comes out the same. Enough for the run, nothing left over for a mistake. 1 pass, 200 kilometers behind them of gunfire, jamming, and ambush, roughly Atlanta to Chattanooga, and it all comes down to the next 90 seconds on the live feed. The prize finally slides into frame. A Be-200 sits parked on the apron under a web of netting. There it is. Everything tonight, the launch rail, the escorts, the river valley, the drone lost in pieces behind them, all of it came down to 1 jet, sitting there under a net. 3 minutes out, the Lone Valley survivor drops low and flat for its run, and the approach hits a snag. A net strung low over the apron blocks the bottom of its flight path, and the only way to the jet is up and over the top. That web is anti-drone netting, and it's exactly what forces the climb. Russia drapes it low over parked aircraft and fuel tanks to snag small drones by the propellers as they come in low, a fishing net set for minnows, and most nights it works. Against a warhead this size, the net barely matters. But forcing that climb is the entire point. The moment the drone rises to clear it, it pops up out of the terrain that had been hiding it, right into the open. On the apron, a crew has been awake and ready the whole night, disciplined, patient, sitting through a dozen false alarms already. Weapon hot, eyes on the dark water, and every man there knows exactly what a drone rising over the net means. 100 rehearsals for this exact shot, and when it finally comes, nobody hesitates. They watch the drone break the skyline and take the shot. A missile screams straight up off the launch vehicle, tips over, and locks onto the climbing drone. That launcher is a Tor M2DT, NATO designation SA-15 Gauntlet, and the name fits. A tracked launcher carrying 16 ready missiles, firing straight up at Mach 2.8, active radar guided, meaning it shouts into the sky and homes on whatever answers back. 14.8 kilograms fragmentation warhead, 12 kilometers. Range, roughly downtown to the Fort Worth stockyards, 0 to firing in under 5 seconds once it acquires a target. It can run 4 intercept tracks at once. It's one hard limit, commit to a shot, and it owns that target until impact, a handful of seconds during which nothing else on that side of the sky gets a clean look. Like a batter mid-swing, fully committed, no chance at the next pitch. If that Tor gets a clean follow-up shot, this run ends and the Be-200 rolls back into its hangar by morning. Right now, it's committed everything to the single drone climbing in front of it. From the moment that missile leaves the rail, the crew owns the sky for about 4 seconds. Hit the climber, reset, wait for whatever comes next. 4 seconds is the whole game. The drone climbing over the net was caught cold, but it was never meant to survive this part. Spending it was always the plan. It was the Matador's cape, and the Tor charged exactly the way the plan needed it to. The other two had come in low over the water the entire way, so close to the surface, their own prop wash kicked a thin line of spray off the bay, and the Russians never saw them coming at all. Now they pop up off the bay on a completely different bearing, the wrong side of the sky for a launcher already committed to the decoy. 2 drones, 1 open window, a few seconds while the Tor is looking the wrong way. One rides that gap straight down onto the launcher, and the Tor erupts and goes dark before its own missile even reaches the drone still climbing over the net. The decoy survives. That was the plan all along. Spend 1 drone to buy the others a few seconds and let the Tor win the fight. It was always going to win, just against the wrong target. The net is just a net now, with nothing left behind it. Russia built an air defense that can stop 1 drone at a time, then watch 2 more walk straight in through its blind side. Somewhere, a Tor operations manual is quietly getting rewritten. 2 drones lined up on the rarest aircraft in Russian naval service, with nothing left on the field to stop them. The first of the pair noses over and drops onto the B-200, clears the netting, and punches through the upper fuselage. 105 kilograms of warhead detonates inside the cabin, and the jet's own fuel feeds a secondary blast that whites out the camera for a full second. When the picture clears, the B-200 is folded open along its spine, 1 wing buckled beneath it, flame crawling through fuel it was never meant to spill. For a moment, the whole apron glows. Confirmed, the B-200 is destroyed. Russia operated only a handful of these in naval service, one of fewer than 10 Beriev Be-200 Altairs ever built. A turboprop amphibious jet that can take off from a runway or land directly on open water, cruising at 700 kilometers per hour with a range of 3,850 kilometers, roughly New York to Denver, hauling 12 tons of rescue gear for a full search and rescue team to reach a downed crew in open ocean. The one platform in Russia's naval inventory that can patrol coastline nothing else can reach. Its engines were built in Ukraine before the war, so Russia can't simply build another. The production line doesn't exist anymore, a bit like getting mugged with your own wallet. The last drone, sole survivor of the river valley, banks over and lines up on the helicopter parked beside the wreckage. A Kamov Ka-27, Russia's main ship-based submarine hunter, the helicopter that drops sonar buoys to find submarines hiding beneath the surface and finishes the run. If this kind of strike breakdown is your thing, hit subscribe. We're covering more of these operations every week. Drop a comment with which strike you want broken down next, and we'll see you in the next one.